top 5 most overrated Scream Factory titles in my collection. 5 that I just think are not that amazing, that everybody absolutely loves, and I think we need to reconsider right there. And then, of course, my 5 most underrated Scream Factory titles that just don't get enough spooky love out there, and we gotta hype them up just a little bit. But of course, this is all my own personal opinion, my own ranking list. I know your ranking list would be completely different, so go ahead and leave your most overrated and underrated Scream Factory titles in the comments below. And then, of course, let's just get into this. But before we do that, you love collecting physical media just like this guy. Go ahead and mega smash that like and subscribe. And of course, turn on that notification bell so you're alerted when a new physical media topic video posts. So now let's get into the bottom list of unbangers here with the most overrated titles in my Scream Factory collection. We're going to have first up Sleepaway Camp. Now, I know what some of you guys are saying. You guys absolutely love Sleepaway Camp, and don't get me wrong, it's a good movie, but I think it's just overhyped a little bit too much, where I don't think it gets really good until the very ending, where it shocks and surprises you, gives you a whole different twist on the subgenre. But if you remove the ending, what do you have here? A ripoff of Friday the 13th, a low budget summer camp slasher type of movie where I don't think all the kills are very memorable. I just think it isn't that amazing sauce everybody hypes it up to be. So even though I like this one, I just think it's a little overrated in my own personal opinion. All right, next up, we're going to have Slumber Party Massacre. Yes, I know what you're saying. Some people absolutely love that one as well. But I mean, come on, it's a little overrated. Now, once again, I like the movie, but what makes it so great? I mean, you have a lot of T's and V's in there, and yeah, I get it if you're just looking for that eye candy, I understand, but you remove that, what do you have? Some killer going after these people with a drill. Doesn't make a ton of sense out there. It's just really a simplified plot where you just don't have anything super exciting and memorable. It's just what is this? Is this an iconic slasher created in this movie? I don't think so. It's no Halloween, it's no Friday the 13th, it's no Nightmare on Elm Street, just some guy with a drill. That's about it. So even though I like it, I just think it's a little bit overrated. And when you get into the second one, that one's just bonkers, weird Elvis craziness. I don't know what the heck's happening there. It's like Bubba Hotep all over again. Some guy with a guitar slashing people. I don't know. So it just doesn't work. So Slumber Party Massacre movies, overrated, at least to me. All right, next up, we're going to have The Howling. Once again, I know what you guys are saying, but I think there's a better werewolf movie out there. You got to have An American Werewolf in London, I think is outstanding, where I just think this one is good. It's okay if you're just looking for a standard werewolf movie, you get what you get out of this one. But once you think about it, it's just tough to remember anything super memorable. Like I said, when I'm thinking of werewolf movies, I'm thinking of An American Werewolf in London right away, first off, and The Howling is just going to be second place at best. And there's probably other better werewolf movies than The Howling out there. So where do we put Howling on the ultimate list of werewolf movies? Maybe number 5, maybe number 10, who knows? But I just think it's a little bit overrated. But cool cover right there. All right, next up, I know I'm gonna hear it on this one. We're gonna to have Black Christmas. Just not my cup of tea on this one. This movie is very old school, very slow paced. You're just hearing some creepy conversations on the phone for most of the movie. You're like, when is this movie gonna get started? When are we actually gonna get into the slashing here? And when the slashing does happen, it's just not super memorable in my opinion. So I think this movie is just poorly paced overall. I know maybe for the time it was amazing, but now after all the other modern horror movies we've got, can you tell me you would rather watch this one over something that's a little bit more energetic in terms of the slasher franchise? I don't think so. To me, Black Christmas has just overstayed its welcome, and that's why it gets on the overrated list here. So too bad. Sorry, not sorry. All right, next up, and I know I'm going to get it for this one. Halloween 2, yes, no mistakes here. I absolutely love the Halloween franchise overall. The original Halloween movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I was let down when I saw Halloween 2 for several reasons here. Halloween 2, once again, is just a sequel I don't think needed to be made. I would have loved to see them gone that anthology path with different spooky tales for the Halloween season, all centered around Halloween, right after Halloween one was over, kind of like getting into Season of the Witch and just do different anthology tales. So I don't like where this put the franchise heading. And then not only that, it takes away the mysticism of the boogeyman because it's just annoying with them now giving a reason for why he's going after this person, right? That Laurie Strode sister connection. I'm like, do we really need to know all that? He's scarier when he's just a force of evil and all that boogeyman nature. And then it's at a hospital setting in the night, very slow moving. It's so boring. Yeah, I know there's some blood and gore, but I just don't think hospitals are that scary overall. Usually you're just waiting in an emergency room for like 10 hours before you get in, and that's it. Just, I don't know, it just doesn't super scare me at all. And the ending just takes away all the scariness of this movie because then you absolutely know that Michael Myers is now a supernatural character, and that just means it's not as scary because then, yeah, this is very unlikely to happen. No one's going to be supernatural, superpowered. I mean, they shoot out both of his eyes and he's still moving around. I'm like, this is silly. This is ridiculous at this point. He gets set on fire, and then, of course, we know he comes back later. It's just, I hate that ending. It doesn't work for me and just takes away all the scariousness of that first original Halloween. So Halloween 2, I think is very overrated for the franchise. So, yeah, can do without that one. All right, now those were my overrated titles. Now let's get into my 5 most underrated Scream Factory titles. Once again, all my opinion, of course. So right here at the bottom, we're going to have The Prince of Darkness. Yes, a John Carpenter title that I don't think gets as much love as other Carpenter movies, but I just really like the atmosphere in this one. The score is so haunting. I like that idea of mixing the horror and the religious aspects together, and it's just so creepy. And just the look that some of these, I guess, possessed, zombified looking characters get when they're standing outside. I don't know, there's just an overall creepiness to this movie that I just really like. And it's like a thought provoking movie. It's more philosophical, like I said, tying in that religion with the horror elements, I just think works. And every time I watch this movie, it gets a little bit better. I just notice something each time I watch this one that just improves it overall. So I think it's like a fine wine, people just get the taste after so long of it just kind of waiting and setting with them. So overall, I just really like The Prince of Darkness. All right, next up, we're going to have to go with Dead Silence. Yes, a James Wan movie that doesn't get much love compared to other James Wan titles, but James Wan's an amazing director, right? Making the Saw movies and all that fun stuff. But I actually like this one. I think the ventriloquism scenes are really creepy, like that stage show. I mean, oh my gosh, it's like, woo! Very terrifying. Great spooky tale right there. And it's just haunting. I like the music as well as very good. And so I like the twists and turns it takes in this one. So maybe there's some issues with the pace here overall, but there's still some really cool ingredients where I'm like, okay, I see what James Wan was trying to go with one of his earlier movies. So I think it's very underappreciated, and I think it's actually pretty darn solid. So once again, I think it is underrated. That's why it has to be on my list. All right, next up, we are going to go with Krampus! Yes, I freaking love Krampus. This movie is way better than Black Christmas, my opinion. Like, come on, would you rather watch Krampus this holiday season or Black Christmas? I'm going Krampus, gateway horror, whatever you want to call it. It's perfect for the whole family. Alternative Christmas title. I just like the look of Krampus. The very brief scenes you get him in, but his minions are so cool, and it's just a really fun, entertaining kind of horror comedy movie. Krampus going after this naughty family. I just think Scream Factory did a wonderful job with the Naughty Cut edition too. So cool. So I really enjoy this one. I would love to see this become a franchise, get sequels to it. I thought that would have been awesome. So I just think it's so underrated because it's not a hard R horror movie. Whatever, who cares? It's a fun story. So gotta have some Krampus on there. All right, next up we are going to have the Wrath of Man. And you're like, what the heck? That's not a horror title, but it's Scream Factory. Yes, I see the Scream logo right there. And I just really like this movie. Like I said, not a horror title, but an awesome, I guess, crime thriller action-packed movie. Jason Statham, so good in here. You got Josh Hartnett and just the rest of an all-star cast, but it's just so intense. A Guy Ritchie film where there's tons of twists and turns, keeps you on the edge of your seat. You're like, what the heck's happening here? When you think it's going in one direction, it makes a 360 turn a whole bunch of times. And I love thrillers like that. It's just so freaking intense, get your heart pumping. And I just love The Wrath of Man. So I think more people should have picked this one up. It's so darn good, even though it's not a horror title. Scream Factory label, gotta include it on this list. Very underrated. All right, next up, my top underrated title, and I freaking love this movie. You gotta have Little Nicky. You might say, hey, that's not really a horror title, but Scream Factory label, okay, I got the receipts. Little Nicky, such a fun movie during spooky season. If you just want some comedy, some dark comedy instead of straight up horror, Adam Sandler is so good in this role as Little Nicky. I just like the lore of like what's going on with the devil and his kids and the brothers competing for power to take over hell. And it's just, and you got cameos and references to other beloved movie characters in this movie. It's just so freaking awesome. I really like Little Nicky. The humor is great in this one. I mean, the dog, come on. It's just awesome. There's not a problem with this movie at all. I know some people get over Adam Sandler at certain points, but I just think this is a gem and it's just really surprising fun. Remember it from my childhood. So I think more people should check out Little Nicky. Really great Scream Factory title here, in my opinion. So once again, those are my overrated, underrated titles. If you have not put your ranking list down below, please do so. But of course, we're just having friendly film fan conversations. There's not wrong choices here. Everybody has different preferences, different cups of tea out there. So let's just compare lists in a really fun way. Of course, you haven't already, go ahead and mega stab that like and subscribe. That way, stay entertained and up to date on all future physical media topics. Turn on that notification bell so you're alerted when a new video posts. And of course, you love this physical media topic. You love collecting Scream Factory. How about you check out the ones where I pretty much talked about my regrets and then my must own Scream Factory titles next. And thank you so much, my mega membership supporters. If you love talking and collecting movies, consider joining the Mega League of Film Fans through memberships to support content creation while gaining access to perks like shoutouts, exclusive videos, and future topic choices.